What's up, guys? Darkside Spencer here, and today I'm here live on the Yacht Hubs. Not really live, but okay. Today I'm going to be doing a movie review for the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, this is a movie that I saw, I want to say about a week ago, I think. This movie was it was an experience. Let me just go ahead and say that. If you haven't seen the video, I had a very bad experience seeing this movie. It is it's one of my videos called The Worst Movie Experience I've Ever Had, was last night or something like that. Just look below in my uploads, just go below and just go check it out. But that's not what this video is going to be about today. It was just a whole ordeal, you know what I mean? It was a whole ordeal. So this video will be about reviewing that movie, what little I could hear of it. So, I did not plan out this video like I usually do, mainly because this is sort of impromptu. I was planning on not actually going to review this movie, but I decided against it. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it with my positives. Now, from what I remember, actually, let's go ahead and jump into what I thought overall about the movie, and then we'll get into a little bit more details. So I've always been a fan of Quentin Tarantino. He's been one of my favorite directors. He directed Django Unchained, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, he did a lot of good movies. The Hateful Eight. A lot of people hate on Hateful Eight because of how long it was. Me personally, I thought it was long, but it was still a good movie. However, with this movie, it was sort of an oddball, strange strange idea, and especially coming from Quentin Tarantino. It was just such an oddball, and I was very, what's the word I'm looking for? I was very nervous with how this movie is going to turn out. Now, what do I think of the movie so far? I've only seen the movie once, and, you know, I just feel a lot of different things, so let's go ahead and jump into it right now.
I'm Rick Dalton. It's my pleasure, Mr. Schwartz.
Call me Marvin. Put it there. That your son?
No, it's my stunt double, Cliff Booth.
Last night, we watched a Rick Dalton double feature. All the shooting. I love that stuff, you know, the killing.
A lot of killing.
Anybody order fried sauerkraut? Damn you Nazi bastards!
So, starting off with my positives, I thought the directing by Quentin Tarantino was by far one of his best. In terms of passion, you could tell this movie was made by a filmmaker, and it wasn't just some Joe Schmo who decided to make a movie about the 60s. Now, what do I have to say about his writing in this movie? That'll be in the negatives. However, we're still in the positives. The casting of this movie was beautiful. It was one of the best well-rounded casts I've seen in recent years. They couldn't have casted anybody better to play the main lead, a struggling actor in the 1960s with this stunt double, which, if you guys don't know, that character was actually based off of Burt Reynolds and his stunt double, so the more you know. And we got Margot Robbie, and also, I forgot to mention, Brad Pitt is in this movie, which I thought was an odd casting. Like, it was an odd choice. However, I actually agree with it. He had one of the better parts of the movie, especially the comedy aspect of this movie was very well done. But then again, it felt like the only genuinely laugh out loud moments were from Brad Pitt, and that's a bad thing. But we'll get to that. Margot Robbie was basically just this ill-fated actress by the name of Sharon Tate, who's basically infamous for the Tate murders back in the 60s of the Manson family. So that's basically what this subtext, I guess, background storyline of this film is is the Manson family and, like, you know, the murders regarding the Sharon Tate, you know, controversy, I guess. What I gotta give this movie is that it has a very distinctive feel to it. And I feel that this movie, it's, especially with Quentin Tarantino, he always has those, like, weird oddball movies that really just stand out whenever you see one of his movies. You just know that it's going to be different from the rest, you know what I mean? It's going to be different. And most times they're, you know, A+, you know, some of the best classic movies around. And I gotta say, you know, I just don't know. Just this movie was so, it's mixed with me. Like, I expected a lot more out of this movie. So, the score, I guess, and the recreations of the 1960s was really good. You know, it was very well done in terms of the 60s aspect of it. I'm sort of rambling on the positives because mainly I don't really have many. Let's just go ahead and dive right into the negatives. We're like 8 minutes in terms of recording this video. I'm 8 minutes into it. Let's go ahead and talk about the negatives. My God, this movie was the most frustrating film to watch. It is almost 3 hours long, and I'm not even joking you. It is almost 3 hours long, and by God, it felt like every minute, every second was dragging. And I swear to God, it reminds me of Whiplash. Are you rushing or are you dragging? This movie was dragging its fucking ass off, and it was just fucking, like, it got to the point where I was just begging for the movie to end, especially by the end of the movie. It's not a bad movie it's a very likable movie. Like, I could see a lot of people enjoying this movie. However, I feel that people, like, regular moviegoers will be checking the fucking time. They'll be whipping out their cell phones, which I hate. I don't encourage that. Do not whip out your cell phone. I hate you if you do. But they're going to be whipping out their cell phones or looking at their watches whenever they see this movie. It is very frustrating about how long this movie was. And honestly, I always turn my cell phone off. I wish I would have left my phone on during this movie to keep checking the time. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the writing. The writing of this movie is by far the least plot-driven movie by Quentin Tarantino that I've ever seen. And it didn't really have his own flavor into it. Like, it was just like, here's these people talking in front of the camera and recreating some scenes and then having the Manson family come in, and that's it. There wasn't really much of a story. It was more of just watching people act in front of the camera. And I'm sorry, I don't enjoy that. Like, I expected a lot more. I expected there to be a plot, especially with a promising actor like Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt in the movie. Especially with Margot Robbie, you expected these three powerhouse of actors to be handed a damn good script, especially if it merits these three actors who are well known and they have so much range and they can do so much with it. And to be handed a shitty script like this, that honestly I don't understand, like, the point of it. I asked that a lot during this movie. What is the point of this film? Why am I watching this? Like, and when the movie ended, I was like, all right, I guess, you know, that's over. I mean, I just watched people talk in front of the camera. That's it. It felt like there wasn't a message to say or to prove or, like, you know, showcase. It just felt, you know, I don't want to say shoehorned, but it felt just like, all right, let's just make a movie. Let's just throw people in front of the camera and watch them do shit. Honestly, the Manson family was probably the only good part. There's a scene in this movie where Brad Pitt's character, the stunt double, is at a ranch. And honestly, that is the highest point of this film. And I feel like it never got back to that sort of tension. I felt like at the end of the movie, that tension was supposed to come back. But for me, it didn't. It felt like the movie just kept on dragging. And, like, honestly, they leaned too hard on the comedy aspect that I guess they were hoping to God people found the ending funny. To me, the ending is the worst part about the movie. Yes, it's cool. Spoiler alert, click off this video if you don't want to hear it. I'm gonna give you a few seconds, but yeah, the ending of this movie was very. A lot of people liked it, and a lot of people hated it. It's very 50-50 right now in terms of the critics, and I lean that I hated it. I felt that we were promised the ending where Sharon Tate is murdered, and I know that's very, very bad, but you know, you can't discredit history. Like, you can't just edit history like the way they did and showcase it as something else. Yes, I know the title, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. However, I feel like that the ending that we got was a little bit disrespectful to the reality of the situation. And I feel that it kind of blue-balled its audience, and it kind of blackmailed them into watching this movie, because you expect walking into this movie to see the events unfold the way the Manson family operated, and the general facts that was pretty much instilled in history. And we expected, as an audience member, at least I did, I expected to see the inner workings of the Manson family and kind of understand their viewpoint and see why they did what they did. And honestly, this movie made me even more fucking confused. I really don't know why the fuck they did what they did. And it felt like they were, like, a lot of the scenes with Margot Robbie felt like they just needed more runtime, or just something to take a break from Leo and Brad Pitt, and, you know, just show a few scenes of her going to the library, or watching a movie with, you know, watching her own movie in a crowd, and, like, showing her reaction to their reaction. And honestly, I feel like it was unneeded. I feel like they could have cut some of that out, because if they were going for us getting to know this person who, you know, for the current generation, we don't really know nothing about unless you're a history buff. However, you know, if we don't know this person really, like, yeah, we know it's Sharon Tate if we read up on the movie, but if we didn't, we wouldn't know what the hell happened. And, like, if you did the ending the way they did, which is where, you know, Sharon Tate lived, and Leo and Brad Pitt kicked the fuck out of the Manson family, you know, to me, it's sort of, it kind of plays with the reality and the truth to the matter. And I felt like they could have done they could have went a different route with the ending, such as them, and just, hold on with me, as if they saw it happen. Like, they saw a family go in there. Like, in a family, they saw people go into the house. And then, you know, next day happens, and you find out that they were all murdered. And stayed true to, you know, to real life, just not in the way that they did it. I feel like they tried to go towards that comedic route, and I feel like it didn't land for me. The only good part was where Leo's in the pool, and one of the people come outside, and they're, like, screaming and shit. That shit was hilarious to me. But that was I expected that scene to be a lot more tension-filled instead of kind of a joke. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what they tried to do, is make real life into a joke. And to me, you know, once you blackmail your audience into thinking, it's like if I made He's Coming, and basically the end of the movie, you find out that no one's the killer. Like, you know, it was just a figment of, like, someone's imagination. You'd be blue-balled, because in the trailer, you expect, you know, two strangers, one of them is the killer. And, you know, I gotta say this, though. The trailers were very, very, very scaled back. I really couldn't figure out the plot of the fucking movie, which is honestly a good it's a good generalization, a good summary of the movie. You really don't know what the fuck the movie was about. Let me just go ahead and state this here. I'm a fan of Quentin Tarantino. I want to see his movies. I love his movies. Quentin Tarantino is a goddamn legendary director, and he's actually one of my inspirations for wanting to become a film director. And, you know, I just loved a lot of his movies. You know, he's very good with directing, and some of his some of his you know, some of his dialogue choices in this movie just didn't feel like his writing. It felt like someone else's. And honestly, I feel like he scaled himself back. And I think he kind of overestimated himself. He kind of said, my movie is always going to be good no matter what I do. And he made the movie. And to me, he didn't deliver. He didn't deliver upon his own name, which, you would think would merit, or it would be worth a lot more than what he gave us. So hopefully you guys have gotten a little bit out of this. To me, this movie, I'm sorry to say this, I would probably give it about a 5 out of 10. I would probably wait for this movie on Netflix. I would not watch this movie in the theaters. It's a one and done. I wouldn't own this movie unless it's in the $5 bin. Really, that's my tier for this the $5 bin. If you can find this movie in the $5 bin, go ahead and pick it up. It would be okay to add to your collection. However, I wouldn't buy, the 4K Blu-ray edition or a Best Buy Steelbook or anything like that. I would just wait for this movie to come out on Netflix or $5 bin. So yeah, this is a 5 out of 10 for me. I expected a lot more. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this movie review, and if you guys don't care, leave a like and leave a comment on this video. I don't know if I should play a clip or not of He's Coming. Nah. I want you guys to be surprised, because guess what? We're filming for the next 2 days, so hopefully He's Coming will be edited and finished. Oh God, am I making promises? Jesus Christ, I'm making promises once more. Hopefully it'll be done by August 26th. However, I feel like we're going to be able to make it before that. So hopefully you guys are in for this ride. I'm not going to place a little clip at the end of this video because I don't want to spoil anything. I want you guys to be actually surprised about the level of filmmaking and like the story and what we're going for. I want you guys to be surprised. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys to death, and I'll see you guys next time.